Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Building Online Empires podcast. So, today we're going to be covering a topic of 7 easy and cheap SEO tricks you can do to get your site rankings improving. We get a lot of customers who ask us, do I need to add more content? Maybe I already have 100,000 words, 200,000 words or more. Do I need to do backlink building yet? But there's a lot of things you can do that are relatively quick and can have a huge impact on the rankings of your site. So let's get started and talk about those. So the first one, maybe not as common, but is definitely something that Google supports, is using emojis in your page titles. These page titles are what appear in the Google search results, and Google does support these. They will be displayed in the search results only if they're relevant, though. Google doesn't always show the emojicons or the emoticons. Sometimes they do get filtered out, especially if they're not really relevant to your content, if they look spammy or out of place. But in some articles, it may make sense to really catch someone's attention and increase your click through rates. I'll give you an example here. Let me share my screen and show you. This is from one of the sites I run. You can see I'm ranked number 2 for Discover the Best Multi-Chrome Nail Polish of 2020. And I have the heart emoji icon right there on the search results. So you can see that actually grabs people's attention. This article is ranking number 2 and only has 400 words within this article. And part of it is because it does have a very good click through rate. And part of that I attribute to using the emoji within the title. So this could be a good strategy and use for some of your articles. The way you do this, let me just share a couple ways to handle this. Number one is if you go to and I'll put this in the show notes, the URL www.ampwhat.com. At that website, you can find all the different icons that are available. And then there is an HTML code for each emoticon that you want to use. And you'll just paste that into your title. So let me show you how I do that on my site. So we'll go back over here to one of my posts. Now this site, I'm using Rank Map. So if you're using Rank Map or Yoast, you do have a separate section where you can put an optimized SEO title. So in here, I've got Discover the Best Multi-Chrome Nail Polish of 2020, and then the art emoji icon. So if we go back over to this ampwhat.com site and get the codes there, which nearly every code that you might want to be able to use is going to be included here. So if I type in like smile, and here I want to use this one, so we can click on it. There's the code right there. So we'll get that, we'll copy it. And then over here in the title, we'll just paste that code. It's going to start with the ampersand and then a number. And you see now in the title, it has that smiley icon. Okay. So you can experiment with this to see what kind of results you get. Like I said, Google isn't always going to display these emojicons, but they will frequently. And especially if this site does have the word heart in the URL, and some of the articles lend itself more to using these icons, but something where it's like a wow article, you might be able to use an icon and get away with it in Google display it. All right. So that's tip number 1. So let's go look at tip number 2, which is using synonyms for your main keyword. So go through the existing articles that you have and determine where it makes sense to use synonyms or related keywords. Now, using the right keywords is super important for the SEO of an article. And for most of us, we spend lots of time trying to find the perfect keyword that we want to use that we think we can rank for. And we think, why not use that over and over in the article to help it rank? But Google, and really from a user perspective, variation is key. So an example here that Yoast provides is like an article around candy. We wouldn't want to use the word candy in every other sentence. It just doesn't sound natural. And there's other terms we could use like sweets or delicacy or other synonyms that we could replace candy with. And not only does that make the article flow better and sound more attractive, It's more engaging to our end users, but from a SEO perspective, Google is going to understand the article better when we have different related terms being used for the primary keyword that we're targeting. You still want to think about keyword density. We still want to use that primary keyword a few times in the article, in the title, maybe in the first paragraph or the headers as well. You just don't want to use it too many times. Instead, use some of these related keywords or synonyms. Now, a question comes up is how often to use these synonyms? And there's no hard rule here. Just make sure your text is readable and appears natural. Google has a very good understanding of reading through text, so we don't want to make it use too much or seem unnatural. But you could use a tool like Rank Math or Yoast to help you determine how often to use these synonyms, which Rank Math does have a field there where you can put in synonyms. All right. Part three, number three here is use video in your article. So more and more video is being used throughout the internet. Even we've seen Facebook is moving over to Reels and is now saying that's their most popular post type. 80% of consumer internet traffic now is video. Another cool stat here is 500 million hours of videos are watched on YouTube every day. So video is very, very engaging, very popular with users. And you'll see that Google includes video in a lot of the search results now. Search results have gone from just plain text to much richer with featured snippets, including images and photos and videos. So this can certainly help articles that you have today that aren't ranking where you want them to be. Adding a video can get those moved up potentially into higher spots within Google or featured video spots. So some suggestions of how you might use these is use, build how-to videos in some of your informational articles. Use descriptive keywords in your video. And when you upload it to YouTube or your hosting provider, make sure you use descriptive keywords to describe the video, which will help it rank. And then on your site as well, create a video sitemap. So as you add videos to each of your articles, use a tool like Rank Map to create a separate sitemap just for your videos, which will help Google get those indexed. There's lots of kind of easy ways that you can create videos that don't require a lot of time and money investing in, real production of a video. You do want to have unique video. Just sharing video from someone else's YouTube on your article isn't going to give you much SEO value. What we do, and I'll show you some examples here at Human Print Designs, we create videos for articles. And an example on this page here, like the ultimate camping guide. So we'll click on that. And these do have background music, but you can get an idea of basically how to choose a campsite, what's the essential camping gear. All of this content is actually taken from the article itself. So we're not having to write any new content or come up with any new ideas. We just take the existing headings and then snippets from the article and use that as text on top of images and video. And we compile all of that into a 2 or 3 minute long video. So you can use a number of tools like Lumen 5. I'll include a link to create these videos. So they'll pull in your article and then help you compile and build one of these videos. There's other tools as well out there that can help you do that. Okay, so let's move on here to number 4, which is optimizing old content. Sometimes a decision of should I add more content to get more rankings and improve my traffic? You may already have 200,000, 300,000 words. You're still not getting the traffic levels that you're expecting, then it's likely you need to go and optimize that older content. What we do is look for pages that are ranking already on maybe page 2 or 3 of Google. We'll prioritize and optimize those first. Those have the highest potential for improved rankings and getting to page 1 of Google. And so we'll kind of prioritize those. And then as we get all of those that are ranking at page 2 or 3 of Google, we'll move down the list and start to work on those articles that are ranking further down. The best way to do this is really to run the article through a tool like Phrase.io or through Surfer SEO. And that will allow you to see how your article stacks up against your competition and those articles that are ranking in the top 20 of Google. So let's take a look here just quickly at how we do this within Phrase. So within Phrase, you load up and give it a URL. So one of your existing articles that you want to improve, you want to get better rankings for. So this one is that nail polish article we just looked at that has the heart emoji in the title. And then the keywords that I'm trying to rank here for is best multi-chrome nail polish. Okay. Now, when Phrase analyzes this, you can see that it's given a word count of 474 in my article. The average for my competitors is about 1,200 words. And you can see the average has articles in the top 20 have headings of 5, links of 7, images of 13. Mine, you can see, is somewhat low. I need to improve all of these aspects. So I'm ranking pretty well for this article already. But if I wanted to maybe move it up to number 1 or just keep it, I don't want the competitors to slowly outrank me. So I may want to make some proactive improvements to this article here. So this will help me understand what I need to do. I can go in here and take a look at each competitor article and see what headings, what topics they're including. I mean, may need to update my article to include some of the topics that they're including in their article. Obviously, I need to make the article longer. I need to add some more sections to it. I need to get some links to other related content, potentially add some images or a video would be great for this topic here. So you can see Phrase has really given me some good advice on what I need to. You can also go to the optimize tab here and you can get an idea of the keywords and the keyword densities and how you stack up against the competition. So Phrase has given me a 16%, which is a pretty low score. We're wanting to typically get these above 70%. So these are all the different keywords that my competitors are mentioning that potentially I'm not. So like polish color is a good keyword. I mention it 0 times. My competitors on average mention it 1 time. Some of these here I'm doing okay with. A lot of these others here I need to improve upon. So nail polish, for example, is being used 34 times by the competitors. I only mentioned it 1 time in my article. So certainly that could be an improvement I can make to this article. So go through, update your article here. As you update it, it's going to update your score in real time so you can see how your article is stacking up as you modify it. And then when you're ready, copy this, publish it into WordPress, and then wait for your ranking changes to happen. Okay. All right, let's look at SEO tip number 5, which is basically stealing ideas from your competitors. If you really don't have the rankings you want, it may be time to look at really the content you're targeting and see if there's content that you can target and easily rank for. And so looking at competitor articles is probably a good idea. So let me show you how we do this. I'm going to go into Ahrefs. So you can use lots of different tools. We are using Ahrefs in this example here. And I've got my website pulled up here and I'm looking at what I want to do is look at who are the competitors. So SEMrush does this, Ahrefs does this. I can click on competing domains and I can see who, what sites are competing for some of the same keywords. So quickly, these are going to be within the same niche. And I can see, for example, this one here, easynailtech.com. So this is a good one that's in the kind of the nail salon niche. And we have lots of keywords in common. So if I see keywords unique to competitor, those are the keywords that I know I need to rank for, my competitors ranking for it. So if we look at Easy Nail Tech here, we can see it is a domain rating of 8, somewhat low. We have a domain rating of 29. So ours is definitely have a higher authority site. They have about 1,500 backlinks. Okay. So this is probably a good competitor to look at because they do have a lower domain authority and lots of keywords that they're ranking for that we're not. So let's just click on the keywords here, 16,000 keywords that they're ranking for that we are not. Now this jumps over when you do this to the content gap and it shows the 16,000 keywords that We Heart Nails is not ranking for. So let me scroll through here and look at this. So for example, I see they're ranking number 2 for nail wraps. So, given that I have a much higher domain authority and I don't have content ranking for that at all, I could probably write an article, make sure I maybe run it through Phrase and make sure I get a better article than they have and outrank them in position 1 or 2 for that. Some other ones down here. There's a cuticle remover. That would be a good one. Fake nail for kids, 9,700 volume. They're ranking number 5. That would be a good one to target. nail decals, nail stamper, how to remove nail glue that has pretty high search volume, and they're ranking number 8 for it. So you see, I can come up with quite a bit of a list of just this one competitor articles that I could target and likely rank better for them since I do have a better domain authority. Okay. So that's a great idea, is to kind of steal some of those ideas from your competitors. What we normally do is generate a list of all of those keywords that we want to target, put that into a spreadsheet, run the stats as far as search volumes, and then determine which ones we want to do first, second, third, and prioritize those that are going to bring us the best return. And then we run those, each keyword into Braze, and then write an article and get that published. All right, tip number 6, internal linking for pages that are not indexed. So this can be a frustrating issue where we have pages that just are not indexed in Google, even though they're valid pages on our website and they're in your sitemap. So one of the easiest ways to determine this would be to just go into Google. And if you know, let's say you have 100 posts, you can do a search here. We are meals.com and we're going to search, and I can see that it says I have 236 results. So if you go look at your pages and posts in WordPress and realize that, hey, maybe I have 300 posts and pages, but only 236 are showing up in Google. You have some that are not indexed. You can also go into Google Search Console and get a list of those that are not indexed. Okay. And then from there, you want to figure out what can I do to get those indexed. Now, probably first want to check everything else out. Does it have a no index tag on it? You know, maybe you checkbox that when you were drafting the article and that needs to be removed. Maybe it's not showing up in your sitemap and you want to check that. Maybe there's some other technical SEO issues on your page or your site that you need to look at first. So check out all of those things. And if everything checks out, everything looks correct, this page should be getting indexed. Then it's some other issue that Google doesn't see that page as important, or maybe a duplicate is what it thinks. And so what you can do to kind of force Google to get that indexed is, number one, you can try adding some internal links to that page to help it increase its importance to the site. So add several internal links from relevant places on your site and do that. The other thing you can also do is use some backlink building. So get a guest post link or a quality PBN to increase the authority of that page. Once we get those internal links in place or get a couple of backlinks on that page, then it will get indexed and Google will start picking that up. So those usually are the techniques you can use to get those pages ranking for you. All right. And number 7, use Schema. So Schema is super important today. Google is trying to provide more rich search results, more data. So Schema markup is what helps Google to better understand the context of your page and understand the content within it. It kind of parses it out better for Google to understand. So we could see that it's an article, or here's a section that's an FAQ, or here's the author of the article. All those things would be spelled out within the schema. And so you can get richer search results that stand out more in Google, get better conversion click-through rates using Schema. Typically, a plugin like Rank Map or Yoast are going to have settings that you can configure to set up your schema. So you'll want to run through those settings and get everything configured for your site. There's also some separate plugins available that are dedicated just to. An example of what this might look like is, here's a good example of a few sites with schema. So we see result number 1 here at the top, best ever brownies. We've got the ratings here. We've got how many votes. We've got how long it takes. This is from a recipe on their site. We've got how many calories. We've got a thumbnail photo, and we've got a good description. So they're doing perfect with schema. They're using the ranking schema. They're using the article schema. All of these aspects are implemented, so we really get full details. The next result here is starting to get some. You see that they have the thumbnail image, but they don't have the schema for ratings set up at all. So we're not getting the ratings, the votes, the time, the calories, none of that information. And then the last result here is liking schema completely. You see it has the standard title and then the standard description, which is either coming from the meta description or from the first paragraph of the article. So they're not really able to control that without schema. So obviously, when you look at these search results, This one here with schema implemented is more likely that you're going to click on it, especially the first two because they have images compared to the third result. That's why the schema is so important. And if you can get the schema implemented, you're likely to see those click-through rates improve. And as they do, your rankings go up. All right. So those are our 7 tips to keep in mind. Pretty easy to implement. So just to review here, use the emojis in your title and will improve your click-through rates. Use synonyms throughout your article for your main keyword. Try to use video. You can use tools like Lumen 5 to do those pretty quickly and use just existing content you already have to generate those videos. Optimize old content to get it ranking better. Steal ideas from your competitor, taking articles that they're ranking for, writing similar articles and outranking them. And then internal linking for pages that are not indexed. You've put all that work into an article. You want to make sure it gets indexed. And then lastly, use schema, which you can do pretty quickly, but just setting up a plugin. All right. Hopefully these tips help you. If you have questions, please leave some comments, like the video, and we will talk to you next week.